Hi, welcome back to my channel. I hope you'll join me today painting these poppies in a glass teacup. Today I'm using my St. Petersburg Classic watercolors, my size 6 and size 3 Intuition round brushes. I have my watercolor palette handy. I have 2 jars of water ready, one for rinsing my dirty brushes and the other for painting. I also have a clean cloth for dabbing any mistakes or puddles. And today I'm using my 300 GSM watercolor paper by B Paper Company, and what I've done is I've scored that in half and then cut it with my circle punch so that I have a circle card that I can paint on either side. I chose to just paint on the front, and there you have it. We're ready to go. Let's get started. So I've been kind of obsessed with poppies recently, and I thought today I had this cute idea to paint a little teacup with poppies, but today I really want to focus on getting this kind of backlit and keeping it quite loose and abstract. And that can be kind of tricky for me. So that's my goal. What I want to do is start with, this teacup I actually want to make it a glass teacup. And so I think really initially I just want to start with my florals. And I'm using my red, just red, from my St. Petersburg Classics. And I've already penciled in and then lightly erased away my teacup shape. And I literally just used a drawing pencil and a pink eraser. Those pink erasers from grade school. That's what I used. And I'm just dotting in the centers for these flowers. Maybe one just out here. Don't want that to be too matchy. Okay, and then I'm going to quickly go in with my clean water and just kind of touch and paint, squiggle around these. I don't care at all about any overlap, and I just want to freshen and clean the water, clean the pigment off my brush occasionally. I also, I'm paying attention, but I don't think I really mind if I overlap the teacup. And I'm just trying to be quick enough so my pigment isn't drying. Oh, these are going to be fun. You can just tell when a painting is going to be so fun. And maybe just go back and just here and there. See, that one was already entirely too dry, but where I think I have, enough that's still wet enough to do that, just drop in a little pigment. That was probably too much perhaps, and that's okay. And then just kind of blending that a little. These ought to end up really nice and soft, hopefully. Okay, so far so good. I want to go in, and I think I will use my Mylery Blue. And what I'm going to do is just above my outline of the cup portion, just above that, I'm going to draw an inner, kind of like a water line. So just above that, and then also just below the pedestal portion. Okay. And then I'm going to take real quickly, my olive green and throw some stems in here. Now I think because these are in this teacup, they can they can bend quite a bit more than I ordinarily let them. And I just think that because, you know, in a cup, it just seems like they'd be a bit more bendy. So now I want to just rinse all that off and drag off my brush, and using clean water, I want to start at this water line, and I don't want to overlap it. I just want to touch it from the top. And then I want to go up to the side. I'm still leaving that room between this inner line, this imaginary line, and the line that I've drawn for my cup. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of brush this in a lazy, not perfect manner, because I don't want all of that to turn into just a watery mess. I only want some of it to bleed, and I also want to retain some highlights in that. And then what I'm going to do is just take a bit more of this Mylery. So pretty. And I may have let this bottom shadow already dry a bit much, and so what I'm going to do is go over that. Same color. And let's get a little bit in between those. And then I'm just going to go back and not completely, but a little bit here and there. Just touch that with water, a little bit of blending. I don't want any hard lines there, so, you know, I'm being kind of mindful of that. But I also don't mind that being, just flowy and color here and there, but not everywhere. Okay, this is my shadow for the cup. So one of the things I want to do is just kind of make this somewhat of a cup shape, more round here, but then come up smaller a little bit, and then let that just bleed into that, and then just kind of direct it a little bit, and just direct it down into there. I like it. This was actually tricky for me to plan. I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it, and you know, it's new for me. I want to come up the side of this teacup too. And I put some water when I did that. Some water went into this pigment here. I'm not going to let that worry me. I'm just going to kind of spread that. It's going to do a little bit of that blooming. I have a little hair connected to my brush. And then I think I'll just kind of come up like that. Well, there's a lot of bloom in that, so we'll just see what happens. It's going to be great. Okay, maybe put a little more pigment in the side of this. Okay, I like it. I think additionally I'd like some something that looks like the background. Maybe this is on a like a white or glass top table, maybe a white table that would have a lot of reflection in it. I'm going to move this clamp just a little. So I'm just kind of, with water, I'm painting hopefully a straight-ish line back here. And then I want to paint up from that just with water. And I'm going to very loosely dot some pigment into that. I'm going to let this background be rather imperfect. I'm going with that same Mylery blue. So for me, the idea is that this teacup is clear glass and it's sitting on some sort of, you know, maybe white table, and it's reflecting gloriously or casting this beautiful shadow. And yeah, I think this is working for me. Now I'm gonna re-wet this other side a bit. Not too worried about joining that up at the top yet, because I am making it so, it's just getting so faint up there. I'm not too worried. And just a very light wash of this, maybe start in this corner, and just kind of dotting, brushing that in kind of imperfectly. Okay, I like it. I'm gonna try to join those real quick with some water. I want to start in the middle, so I'm not just introducing a puddle of water. Even still, where I overlap on the right, where it was dry, I may have a little stray mark or something from that. It just happens, and it's okay. Maybe start this closer to the flowers where it might be a little darker. Let me get a little more water in that. And I'm trying to just keep a little bit of a border there. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's really working for me. And I do think I'm gonna need some kind of like outline on this teacup. I think that's gonna help that. But I'm gonna go ahead and fill, just take a bit of this loose wash, light wash, and loosely fill this. Now I already have more pigment than the value of what's on the background. So I'll end up dabbing this with my cloth, and that's okay. That is okay. There we go. Still a bit more maybe, but we'll see as it dries. It'll dry a little lighter, so I don't want to overwork it. All right. I say let's go in and get a little more detail in these flowers. I want to go ahead and switch my brush to my size 3. And taking a good amount of this red pigment. Again. I think I usually do this with my bigger brush, but just want to go in and create some layers. Just thinking of how these poppies might show some layers. Sometimes I like to make some little dashes and slashes, and then I'll come in and soften that a bit. One thing I want to remind you is that not every flower has to make sense. You do not have to make every one of these flowers something that you can tell like which way it's going or anything like that. You can. I mean, you are welcome to do that. And if that's part of your, like your style and how you like to do that, please do it. Don't let anyone tell you differently. But I don't think you straight up have to. It's especially in an abstract look. These are very forgiving, especially on such a small scale. So now I'm taking some clean water on my brush, just being careful I don't have any big drops on the brush or out on the silver part. And I'm just touching this here and there to make another soft layer, letting these just kind of bleed, letting the pigments kind of, you know, mix and do what they want to do. And I just love that this adds so much as far as, you know, the look of layers. I'm trying not to work too many of these at a time because I don't want the pigment just to dry, and, you know, I will lose some. If I do that, I'll lose some detail that I'm trying to have. Loose detail, but still, you know, something that evokes the idea of those layers. And I'm staying away from this one right now because I have so much water over here, and I just don't want to, I don't want that to just bleed together with the other one or other ones. So this is just how I like to do them. And, you know, there are myriad ways. You know, do what you like. If you have a technique that you really love or you found effective, I'd love to hear about it. This is just something I kind of happened into one day, and I was trying to do it, and I just discovered by continuing to add these layers and then soften them with some water that I just loved the result. And yes, I kind of became a certain amount of obsessed with them. And I feel like this is it's a good way to do peonies. It's just fun. And I love how this teacup is turning out. I almost need one size smaller for my brush. Okay, just continuing to soften these, just touching that with water. And my hope is that when I do that, I still retain some of that dark color, but then that some of it bleeds out. So, you know, I'm just making like a third layer of petals there. I think I did this in an earlier pass and did not soften those, so I'm not worried. I think that they will do fine, but okay, this is quite good for now. Just kind of see what happens. Oh, I love it. Okay. Love. Want to go in with this Mylery blue and add a little outline. And excuse me. I think what I'll do is go ahead and entirely wet the outside of this teacup. I'm just outlining this, and then I really wish I had maybe made the line of the background up here. I think that would have been a more natural place for it. I'm not sure I can work one in now, but you know what? What the heck? Why don't we try? Now, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And we're already getting a little bit of bleed there. Okay, and then I'm just making sure to kind of overlap my background here. And then I'm going to come in with this. I want to keep it kind of light. Okay, I like it. Yeah, I think that that is better. Yeah, I like it. I want to go ahead and Ooh. That got exciting, didn't it? Okay, let's, oh, too much water. Gonna have some blooms in there. And maybe that'll be okay, because maybe it'll help this little transition. And so to transition that, I'm just kind of loosely going and kind of skipping some places here and there. I'm gonna wet this a little more. Well, my goodness, I guess I didn't wet it enough. Okay, it's just, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. Okay, not worrying about it. And then I'm just kind of pushing. I see a place where I have some layering of the pigments, and I'm just blending that a little, just because I know I'll be able to see that on that glass layer, and I don't really want that there. Also maybe blending this and just kind of going up and blending some of this. I like it. Okay, just need some greens for those peonies. Also maybe this one right here is quite wet, but the others are not, and I want to go ahead and add some yellow. This is my yellow deep, and I'm just going to dot that in. I don't mind if some of the white shows. I feel like some of the stamens on these do have white, and I said I was going to avoid that, and I didn't. Kids, don't be like me. Actually, it doesn't matter, and poppies often do have kind of an orange hue. Not exactly what I'm particularly doing right here, but I don't think it hurt or detracted at all. So I don't know if you can anticipate that I'm going to say I'm not going to worry about it, but I'm actually not going to worry about it. Not even a little. Life's too short for that. Okay, just getting some green ready for my leaves. Just want to have some little just want to have some leaves kind of coming out here. I kind of like to turn my brush a little on the side and drag a little to do these. I feel like I get a little more of an authentic look, and I get some of that almost texture. And then I'm just going to take this to, it's just a wet brush, and touch that so it'll soften that. Okay, want to have some, just some green kind of in here, here and there. Okay, pick up a little more and do a few more of these leaves. so fun today. Really just the perfect little thing on a cute little card. I love it so much. Okay, and I want to have a little bit of a lighter color for this, a lighter. Love these, they're so fun. Even the leaves, my goodness. And just making sure to kind of layer over these background leaves. Just gives a little extra depth. Also want to darken little stem over here. Gosh, I love that. Y'all, sometimes I feel like an artist. This is one of those days. And maybe just lighten that up just a bit and do something just peeking out of the background back there. Kind of wish that was a little lighter, so just gonna dab that. Perfect. Yeah, I like it. That was perfect. Okay, there's one more touch that these need, and actually two things I'm gonna do. I want to add just the tiniest hint more of this Mylery blue right here where a bit of my water must have touched it. Okay, and I feel like I can kind of drag that over, just a little shadow there. And I'd like a tiny bit of shadow on the underside of this handle. These are so easy for me to overdo, so I'm just gonna keep these generally not blended, because I go to blend them and then I lose that definition. So just a tiny bit of that Mylery blue just on the bottom portions right here. I love that so much. Goodness gracious. And lastly, with the black, and ordinarily I use a lamp black. This is just called black. One thing I want to caution you about is dragging your brush off, dragging the water off, but then also dragging your pigment off. You do not want a heavy amount of pigment on your brush. You want to be able to control this. And heavens, you do not want a glob of black or gray pigment flooding into your beautiful painting here. So I'm just taking that black and I'm dotting around imperfectly and quite on purpose that way, dotting around these yellow centers. And I kind of make 2-ish, 1.5-ish imperfect rows of circle, oval, whatever. And I just love that. It's a tiny bit of pigment, you know, just I used a little card over here to the side to test it out. Right here, I just tested that out, my little dots, made sure that I was not carrying too much pigment or water on my brush. And then the other thing is just be mindful of where your layers might be. You know, your petals could be kind of overlaying your black center. They could be curled up in front of it or whatever. And so you're not necessarily going to dot an entire oval all the way around for every flower, because they're not all dead on facing the viewer. That's just one thing I like to do. It's a bit of advice I like to pass on. But oh my gosh, I love this so much. Want to paint these every day now. And my little teacup, goodness gracious. I love it so much. And sometimes your little oval will be quite smashed, and sometimes not. And if you can't see it, like right here, I'm kind of having trouble visualizing that, so I'm just going to come back. I sometimes, you know, dot something in and go, oh my gosh, why did I do it that direction? So clearly that flower is leaning the other way. And if you just wait and come back, that's a good way to avoid that. And if you do flub it, guess what? It is not the end of the world. I promise you. I promise you. You can make a mistake and you will not die. So take that from me, whose first painting today was an abysmal failure. Very true. It was really horrid. And that's okay. We didn't die. Okay, I see it now. I very much see this. So yeah, just wait. Check it out. If you can't figure it out, come back later. My goodness, it works out okay to do that. And I love this so very much. I hope that you enjoyed this today. I know I did. And I know I will also be painting more of these in the future. I hope that you'll paint it too. Try something of your own. And I'd love to hear about it. As always, happy painting.